can we talk about menopause? Because I'm not a doctor, I'm not an expert, I'm just a girl who's gone through for the last 8 years. I can't even believe it when I say that. And I've been through some things that I think might be helpful to someone who is either going through it, has been through it, or who just wants to see if this is normal, because some of it kind of is normal for our age. So let's go ahead and talk about a few of the things that I experienced and some of the things that I did to sort of make myself feel a little bit better. Okay, so before I get to the first thing, I do want to mention, I was watching a YouTube video the other day, and it was about menopause, and there was a commenter on there that talked about menopause being scary. And menopause should not be looked at as a scary thing. Now, some of the symptoms are unknown, and that's why I'm talking about them, because sometimes we don't really get prepared, right? Our doctors don't prepare us. There's not a lot of information out there. It's better than it used to be, but when my mother was going through it, she called it the change of life, and it was never talked about. And my mother's passed away since then, and so there's nobody that I can really talk to about it unless my peers going through it. So I think this video would be really helpful. So let's talk about a couple of things that I experienced firsthand. And that is, obviously, what do we think of when we talk about menopause? The hot flashes. They're a real thing. They happen, and they're going to happen regardless of whether we want them to or not. So we may as well be prepared for them. And I get asked this a lot. What does a hot flash feel like? And I said that to myself. Now, I live in South Florida, so it's hot every single day. I feel like I'm in hot flashes 100% of the day, like 10 months out of the year. So I would tell people, how do I know if I'm in a hot flash? I'm hot all the time because it's 100 degrees outside. But it's a different kind of heat. It's a hot that comes from inside your body. It feels like you have an internal heater on that's sort of flaring up, and you get flush. And it's a lot more than that external heat, humidity that you might feel if you're in weather. So what I used to do is I would prepare myself. I would usually try to figure out when I was getting the hot flashes. For me, they usually felt like they would come when I was maybe eating poorly. I had maybe a spike in my sugar levels. Things like that would sort of trigger my hot flashes. So I always recommend that women try to figure out what is triggering your hot flashes. Now, sometimes it could be nothing. They just come out of thin air. They just happen because your hormones are wonky, crazy, and it's just, you just can't help it. But sometimes you might be able to. So I always would seek out trying to figure that out. Is it happening in the morning or at night or when you're sleeping? I personally did not get hot flashes in the middle of the night, but I know people that did, and so you're just gonna have to try to navigate through that. I don't have any advice for that because I didn't personally experience that. I didn't also experience having trouble sleeping, so maybe somebody else might be able to answer those questions. I just didn't experience that myself. So to be prepared for the hot flashes, I would wear comfortable clothes, things like that. I always had my hair up just to kind of make myself a little more comfortable. There were other symptoms like that, itchy skin, dry skin. Those things were so frustrating because of my whole entire life. I grew up with oily skin, combination skin. I always had more problems with adult acne, childhood acne, and then suddenly, like it seems like overnight, my skin went from oily to now it's like the Sahara Desert. I couldn't believe it. I said, now I don't know what to do with this dry skin. It was flaky, it was itchy, it was crazy. I would see the dermatologist. So what I realized was I had to change a few things. I had to change my beauty routine. I had to add more moisturizer. I had to go to the dermatologist. I had to see what they recommended for some of these dry patches around my skin that I still have today that I treat with some ointments and things like that. I use a better moisturizer. I focus more on that. And for me, it's about feeling better and complementing my dry skin to make myself look a little bit better. So those are some of the physical symptoms that I was feeling. Not scary, just know that they're coming and just try to hit it head on. The second thing I was experiencing was weight gain, and that is so common with women in menopause. And the reason why is because our hormones are gone, right? Our estrogen, our progesterone, testosterone, all the ONs, hormones they're gone or they're diminished. And those are the things that regulate your cortisol, the other things that are happening in your body are now no longer regulated. And so that can be very difficult to manage, to balance out. And so the weight gain happens and you start taking on fatty tissues around your belly. The menobelly is a real thing. So for me personally, my weight gain was very frustrating because I was eating the same way as I always had, which was fairly healthy. I wasn't gorging myself with processed foods or fatty foods. I was eating fairly healthy, and I was exercising a lot. I exercised a lot in my adult life. I ran marathons, ran half marathons, and I exercised every day, and I would do HIIT training and CrossFit training and things like that. And I was still doing those in menopause, and I started realizing that that was the problem, was that my body was not the same. I could not exercise the same. I could not eat the same. I had to start doing things a little bit differently and focus on some of the things going on in my body that I had no clue what they were all about, because my hormones took care of all that. Well, now my hormones aren't taking care of that, so I had to take care of it. And the first thing that I did was I went out and I got this book. And I'm just kind of plugging the book because it is a good book, okay? I don't get any royalties from it, but it's called Fast Like a Girl. And I read that book. Somehow I got on a podcast. I read the book, and then I realized that I could take control over how my body was reacting to my lack of hormones through better eating, through intermittent fasting, through autophagy fasting, and through the right forms of exercise that could control my cortisol levels, managing stress. It's all in that book. And I read that book a bunch of times, and I really educated myself. And what I did was I was able to lose the 30 pounds that I had gained through menopause. I was able to feel a little better, but I definitely had to shift the way I looked at the way I was treating my body and the way that I was acting as far as all those other things that were contributing to the weight gain, and just thinking about it in a different way. So I recommend you get a resource like that, learn a little bit more about hormones and the hormonal shift and the cortisol. There's tons of resources out there for that, so I always recommend that. And then the third thing that was really, really important is mindset. And I wanted to make sure that I was still taking care of my outward appearance, you know, my hair, my makeup, my beauty routines. I was really focused on that, because when we're in menopause and you're facing aging and you're looking down at aging, is there anything to look forward to when you get into that aging question? Your mind can play a lot of tricks on you, and it was definitely playing tricks on me. And there were times when I was tired, I didn't want to get out of bed, and I said, you know what, I just don't feel like just facing the world. Well, I really took a concerted effort to try to change that. And that was through some of these things that I was doing during the day to make myself feel good. Like I said, my beauty routines, I was keeping those and trying to, you know, do my makeup a nice way that I wanted, so I would feel better about myself and more confident. So when I walked by in the mirror, I wasn't shrieking because I looked differently than I had. My wrinkles are there, my fine lines are there, my dry skin is there, but I was able to manage it through my mindset. And I think that's really, really super important. And also just the clothing that I was wearing, the weight gain. So I was trying to keep up with that kind of stuff, because if you don't, it can really play a lot of tricks on your mind and really kind of get you into a dark place. And that's where you definitely don't want to go. And then the last thing I want to talk about mindset is, one of the things that was really important to me was to do the things and find the things and bring those things back that gave me joy before I had kids, before I was rushing around as a mom on a taxi, rushing my kids here and there and not being able to enjoy myself and doing the things that I really love to do. For example, I used to love, when I was a kid and even in college, I used to love doing cross stitch. And it's like a fun kind of embroidery hobby. I used to get so much enjoyment. You see how I'm talking about it. I love talking about it because I enjoy it so much. And I said, you know what? I'm going to start doing that again. And I did. I brought out all my supplies and I said, I'm going to start doing that again. I bought myself a sewing machine because I used to like to sew. And I was really kind of pleasantly surprised at how happy that made me feel. And it's the little things. It's the little vacations, the little extra trips that you might not have been able to take when your kids were younger, that now you can do little day trips. You can go hiking. You can go exploring. Figure out what it is that gave you joy before you were a mom rushing around doing all the crazy schedule things that you may want to bring back, or things that you thought you wanted to try that you never did, you put on the back burner. Well, now it's time to start doing those. And I found that when I started doing those little things, even just going to a matinee movie, those are the kind of little things that get your mind set just in a very positive mind frame and really kind of get you out of the doldrums of aging. I find that those things make me super happy, and it's kind of one of the reasons why I do my beauty videos, because those videos make me super happy to do. I enjoy them. I'm glad you enjoy it. I'm glad you enjoy watching them. I hope you continue to do that. But those are the things that I've sort of done in the last few years, really getting into menopause and just trying to maintain that positivity, trying to do a lot of extra things to make sure that my body is keeping up, and also the mindset and the hobbies and all those things. And hopefully, now that I've talked to you about that, you'll implement some of those things, because I don't want you to see you on a YouTube video saying that menopause is scary, because it's not scary. I want you to take away something from this video that will keep things in a positive light. And if you have any comments about it, make sure you put it below, because I'd like to talk about it and have everybody else join in the conversation. So if you enjoyed this video, if you got something out of it, just like, subscribe, again, comment, and I'll see you on the next video.